Hello everyone, the Apple Boom back. I just want to put it out there real quick. Don't expect these to actually come out every single day. I've just been kind of doing that recently because I've had the time to do this, and things have been moving fast with this game. But don't expect it. So we just wanted to get that out of the way. Alright, so one thing, I've been kind of noticing that my last videos were kind of a post-mortem on the versions. This is the first time you're going to see a version before it's actually play tested. Version 3, and on that note, oh yeah, and I got this up. On that note, I'm not going to be sharing this until after I play test it. Because I still might change some things before I play test. So I've done some basic upkeep, changing things to version 3 like I said I would. I added card names. Some of these, like this, it's like that card type. I'm probably not keeping that in the final product, but at this point, names don't matter a huge deal. Or a whole lot, or whatever. So, I wanted to mention some stuff. Some cleanup. I decided to make new characters. That's what this is mainly about, if you saw this. And you can probably see it up here too. Because I want to have multiple characters. I'm aiming for a minimum of 8 on release. Minimum of 8. And I want to start to bring these up as I'm playing, we're playtesting. A lot of games just start out. They only design one standard character, and then they go out from there afterwards after they feel comfortable. But I want all these characters, especially because this is kind of a card game where things interact with each other in interesting ways. I want to design different characters while I'm still playtesting the core game to help inform the core characters. Also, it lets me change some stuff around, like I brought up the concept of equipment and constructs, which were technically already in this Saboteur and the Engineer, but they through trying to focus on them, I ended up having a better definition of them. Just part of why I'm making these new characters to better inform the core characters, which are the Engineer and the Saboteur. So, when making these new characters, I decided to go about really focusing on the field. That's what I was thinking of, and I came up with the Soldier and the Commando. The Soldier actually employs a lot of things that I originally thought of when I was thinking about the Saboteur when I was first thinking about this game. The Soldier is actually acts a lot more like I expected the Saboteur to as I expected the Saboteur to in the very beginning. He puts stuff on, he goes in the field, and he does things. And the Commando is supposed to be like really aggressive, powerful stuff that he's supposed to be really aggressive and powerful and hurt really bad, but he takes huge risks and he can get knocked out really easily. So let's start with the Soldier. Okay, body armor. This is when I first finally decided to do equipment because I needed this. Body armor is an equipment card that you need to discard 2 equipped cards to equip it, and it pretty much prevents you from being damaged. Now this is very similar to Health Kit from the Saboteur, which I did move up to a rare card. But the difference is, with Health Kit, you still get hurt. Let me see if I can. Yeah, with Health Kit, if you get hit during the play phase, you still get hurt, your action still goes away, you can't move, you're sent home. And then you would get healed in the cleanup phase. With body armor, you don't get hurt. You just lose the body armor, and then you can you can lose the body armor, and then you can still do your stuff. You can still move, and whatever. So that's how body armor works, and you have to discard 2 equipped cards in the character you're putting it on. Field camp is something that makes the field a little less risky. In the end, Soldier ended up being what I call like an offensively defensive character. And it's pretty much demonstrates the interesting phenomenon that comes with defense. A lot of times, defensive character or defensive options or things that are defensive on their on the face end up being very offensive. A perfect example of this is the Bubbler from Splatoon. The Bubbler is a super move that you do when you have full meter, and it makes you invincible. So it's like, yeah, it's a defensive move. You now are defensible. I mean, you now are invincible, and a lot of people use it as a panic button. But the Bubbler on the higher levels ends up being a very offensive action, because since you're invincible, you end up being able to put yourself further into the enemy lines, take greater risks with that new defense because you can't get hurt. And so it's overall a more offensive ability because it's defensive. Which, that's a strange concept, I know, but I think the stuff like body armor and field camp really show that off. Because the thing with body armor is if you have body armor on and like you put body armor on an engineer, they can go up into the field and they can fire and hit somebody really hard, and they're protected by the body armor. So yeah, that's how that works. But it's supposed to be hard to get on because since you have to discard 2 equipped cards, you are doing this at the earliest on turn 2. And that's only if both players on your team equip a card to a single character on the first turn. So this is definitely going to come out later. And also remember, the turns are really limited now. Field camp. Okay, so field camp, you automatically move to the field when you use it. You play it to the field. It's a construct. Construct's just a more formalized way of saying that you're playing things to the board. So you play it to the field, and friendly players no longer skip their action phase within the field. So it lets them be in the field, and they can still do stuff. I think that's a really powerful thing. It takes away some of the weakness of being in the field. Well, a lot of the weakness of being in the field. Alright, trenches. Again, an offensively defensive move. Play to current location, home or field. Friendly players in this location cannot be targeted by attacks. So this is another thing that protects you. This might end up being a little too powerful, more than body armor, but we'll see. Machine gun is to give the soldier an attack, because as I was designing this is actually one of the last things I designed. I realized this guy's really about buffing other players, and I really want characters to be able to survive on their own, to not have to rely on each other too much. I mean, yeah, you want to coordinate with your teammate and everything, but I don't want it to be that your teammate does all this stuff and you're just buffing them all. That might be something I do in a quote-unquote Season 2, after the base set of characters, but that's not what I want right now. So that's why I gave this guy an attack, or else him being in the field didn't really do anything. And it's the machine gun. It's pretty much a better fire, but it's a rare card. Damage all opposing players in the field if you play it from home. Or when you play it from field, damage all opposing players and play up to 1 played card. However, one big difference between this and fire is fire can be made unblockable. This can't. There's nothing about unblockable here. Camouflage. Some equipment. Equipped to a player during play phase. Equipped player resolves their cards if they're at home. Again, some of the field phase mitigation that's been going on with the soldier, making him or his teammate being able to act in the field more easily. So you don't have that detriment of playing cards in the field and then you can get hit. It's like, no, you display at the same time as if you were not in the field. Additional resources equipped to a player during draw phase. They draw 2 cards. This doesn't do much with the field, but it's a good solid equipment. This is one of the later ones that I put on him. I usually start first with the ace and then the rest of the rare ones before I move into these. And yeah, one interesting thing to note, during draw phase, equipped player draws 2 cards. So that's the draw phase. If you look at field camp, friendly players no longer skip their action phase in the field. So that's the action phase. So this still brings up the possibility of some synergy with a teammate, because as much as I said I want people to survive on their own, you do want to put some weaknesses for teammates to fill in. And you can see that here. You can't use field camp and additional resources together because they're different phases that they're dealing with. So that's a neat little thing. And reactive positioning. Equip to a player. During movement plays, equipped player plays their movement card after normal movement. So when you first read it, it's like, huh, you're slower? But really it's so you can see what your opponent does for movement, and then you move. It also acts... It's not the greatest card, which is why I put it on the common, and it acts kind of as fodder for body armor. But still a solid card. Alright, and the commando. This one was a lot harder to make, because this guy's either going to be too powerful or not powerful enough, and it's going to be a really fine line. This is kind of the like Akuma or Shadow Mewtwo, if anybody knows who they are. Really, again, really offensive, but really fragile. So, Demolish is the first one I put on. Remove all armor on the enemy cannon, draw 3 cards. Actually, I think going over the abilities first here would give some better insight into the commando. You can see with the soldier, his ability is kind of interesting. Damage target construct in the field. I mainly did this to deal with barricade. Again, characters informing each other, but it's an anti-soldier thing. Good solid ability. But you can use it in the field if you have field camp up, but nothing huge to write home about. I also kind of didn't want to give the soldier a huge ability because I did want him to be in the field. The commando is where I introduced the first passive ability. And as I was making this, I was thinking, and I still don't know if I'm going to do this, I might end up making it so instead of everybody having an ability and it's active or passive, I might give everybody one passive ability and one active ability. So we'll see where that goes. But here's how he works. Commandos don't skip the draw phase while in field, emphasizing the stay in field thing. And commandos skip the play phase while at home, and you start in the field instead of at home. So that you already start off in a really offensive position. So now that that's being said, so you can only play these cards, all these cards, in the field. I can make them all really powerful without having to do some... Well, I didn't play it from home, do this. I'm playing from the field, do this. Makes them simpler in that sense, and it just lets them be really powerful. So, there's Demolish. Remove all armor on the enemy cannon, draw 3 cards. This remove all armor thing might end up being a little weak, especially because Saboteur's Teardown is a common, and you're not going to get armor a lot when you're rolling the cannon die. So this draw 3 cards is supposed to kind of counteract that. This is one where it's like, we'll see what happens. Block. Play when an opponent plays an attack card. This card's effect is nullified. Now this is really similar to the Saboteur's Reflect. This used to be counter. I just renamed it Reflect because I want counter to be a card type. The thing is, this doesn't hurt the person who used an attack. It just nullifies the attack. And it also makes it so that you can block unblockables. I wanted that to be a thing, and that's part of why this is a rare card. Or a big part of why this is a rare card. You can block anything with this. So, yeah, it's pretty much the same as the counter, except it can block unblockables and it doesn't hurt the people who countered. Unload. I just took the old unload from the Saboteur and made it really powerful. Target cannon loses 3 cannonballs instead of 1. Yeah, just made that really powerful. Again, the commander's supposed to have just a bunch of powerful cards because he's always in the field. Alright, phone help. This is the old load up. Roll a cannon die 3 times and use all 3 effects. But I can justify this old load up because he's in the field. Again, now I can take these really powerful cards. Like, I just took 2 old cards, powered them up a little bit, or kept them the same, and just put on a character who has to use them in a more risky situation. Kidnap. Well, this is an interesting one. Move target player to the field. So you pull your opponents out and put them in an interesting position. But this is also an attack. So this can be countered. And you can be damaged for it. So that's something to watch for. Power up. Just draw 2 cards. This one, this is one of the last ones I put on. I wasn't totally sure what to do with this. And refresh. This is the old shuffle from the Saboteur. Except now it's on a common. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. Because, also, since this guy has a lot of draw power, he's going to run out of cards. And it's going to be hard for him to do stuff, since he runs out of cards. Possibly. But then he's probably going to be dead. But then maybe he's not, and so maybe he wants to get stuff back. And so this is something for commandos that end up surviving. Really. And you can also use it on your teammate if you want. Or you can use it to screw with your opponents if you want. It still has all that functionality. Alright, so let's get into the, let's see, did I put anything else? Real quick, I added the engineer's new Ace's short fuse. It's the old multi-tool kit thing, except it doesn't cost a kit. And, yeah, it just doesn't cost a kit at all. But it's a rare now. Because that matters a lot more. Didn't really do a whole lot else. Just changed some words around. They all did the same thing. I did move the cards around that I said I was going to move around. Rules, I just cleaned up some wording. As you can see, I didn't totally format it yet with this type of thing. I want to go over keywords. Keywords are an important thing. They give you a lot of power as a designer to do things, but you have to be careful because these keywords can get bloated. And so one of the things I want to do with keywords is I want to keep them relatable, the things that are very easy to understand. Equipping things is easy to understand. Unblockables are easy to understand. Getting damage is easy to understand. And I also want it to do it for things that are kind of universal, not just character based. Because again, a game can get really bloated if you have a lot of real specific stuff with just certain characters. I'm reminded of Maxi from Soul Calibur. One of the things he has going for him is he has a lot of stances that all go into each other. And he can only use certain moves from certain stances. Now, it's really confusing for a lot of new players, and a lot of people avoid him because of that. Or they spam with him and don't know what they're doing because it looks cool. But, yeah, whatever. They can do that if they want. But yeah, a lot of semi-serious players and newer players avoid Maxi because he has that kind of bloat to him. But that's okay because Soul Calibur has a lot of characters. Even back when Maxi was first made. I think he was in the first game. I think. Maybe he was in Soul Blade. Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah. That's an example of some bloat that can happen. Same thing for Zwei. Soul Calibur 5. The whole cooldown thing and an extra kind of stand character. It's not totally intuitive. So, yeah, I don't want a lot of bloat in this game, because that can be hard to get into for newer players. That's something to be very careful of. I'm going to try to use as few keywords as possible, and I'm going to try to keep them very relatable. Yeah, so that's when I go over with keywords. Now I'm going to go over power curves. A lot of people probably know about this. This is kind of standard for not just card games, but like games with options in general. There's a general power curve you want to stick to, where every option has a certain amount of power. Let me get my pen. My blue pen. Blue. A certain amount of power. Oh, that's a small pen. Come on, there you go. To a certain amount of difficulty. So, something like a poke. Not hard to use. Not very powerful. It would be right there. Something like, I don't know, Dragon Bunch, a reversal. Pretty hard to use because it's a big risk. You can get blown up for it, but it has a lot of power. Right here. And then like a combo starter. You need to have an opening for it, but it'll do a good amount of damage. Has good power. Something like right there. Supers are like around here. Because you have to get the meter to use them, but then they're really powerful. So I wanted to try to map on here different cards and where I think they are and such. This might end up running long, as if the other ones didn't already run long. But let's see how this is. Okay, short fuse. This is the engineer, by the way, that I'm doing this one on. Short fuse is pretty powerful, not that hard to use. I would put it like, let me see if I can get a red. Let's see if I can make a circle right here. That's where I put short fuse. Actually, you know what? Let me see if I can get ooh. Okay, let's move that. Yeah, that's where short fuse is. Put A for ace. It's pretty powerful, but it's not like the biggest thing, and you have to use it well, and it's also rare, so it's going to be hard. So you can only use it once. Supercharge. We'll put in the same general area. Let's all caps. Like around here on the curve. Actually, let me see if I can't put it right on the curve. But yeah, around there. Actually, it's kind of weaker, so maybe I'll move it around here because it's only 2 cannonballs. I might want to end up powering this up. It's also vulnerable because it's a construct. So this is lower on the power and kind of harder on the use, so it's probably over here. So this is something I feel like I need to power up, but we'll see how it plays. These are my feelings on the options right now, and they're going to change once we playtest. Okay, emergency supplies. Okay, this one I think is very powerful, and it's not that hard to use. This one I'm going to put around here. Actually, let's move that over here a bit. It's really not that hard to use because you can use it for so many things, and doesn't have a huge opportunity cost to it. So it's kind of more over here. Now, if you notice, like, the queen and the ace, I put them at around the same power, but the ace is harder to use. And the reason I say that is because, like, yeah, they're both just rares that you can just play. But the queen you can do so much stuff with. And it's like, oh, I need a card right now. Any card that I want, play that, and I can get it. With the ace, yeah, I can still play it and get the short fuse, but I also need the setup of being able to use that short fuse. So that's why that's harder to use, but it can still be very powerful if used right. Load up. Load up's around here. Just gives you 2 cannonballs. Real solid ability. So I'm saying like the jack and the ace are kind of on the curve. But the king's definitely below the curve and the queen's definitely above the curve. I don't really know how I'm going to deal with that. Oh yeah, queen is now called emergency supply instead of toolkit. Because of the whole naming issues. Fire. Alright. I'm going to put this as 9. Just because it's on a 9 and a 10. Fire's around load up, actually. It's a real solid ability. And you get 2 of them. Pretty powerful, because knocking somebody out is really nasty. But then you could possibly just put on a construct, and you can also make it unblockable, so... Yeah, barricade. Ooh, barricade's, one where I think it's, right now, it's too easy to use and a little too powerful. I added a kit to it to be able to play it. I guess it's not that powerful, but it's like here, like above the curve. I added a kit to it, so it's kind of harder to play now, but still, not just denying the field is really powerful. It's a big reason why I made the soldier's ability. That's why I made the soldier's ability to to get rid of stuff, so you can deal with the barricade. Because someone needs to be able to deal with the barricade. The engineer kind of can right now, but he uses fire, and that's a big risk that you're using up one of your fires to get rid of that barricade. So, yeah. And multi-tools, the last one. C for common. I think multi-tool is right in the right spot. Decently powerful. Not that easy to use because of the kit thing. In fact, I might put it over here because of the whole barricade also uses a kit. So that's where I feel the soldier is the engineer is right now. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to upload these to the folder. And now let's open the saboteur. Okay. Do I have the same stuff? Yes, I do. Boom. Alright, saboteur. Boom. Let's grab that. Alright. Sabotage. Not really sure where this one is now because I changed how it works and now it's a discard based thing. This could end up being really powerful. This could be hard. Not that great. I don't think it's that hard to use. I'm going to put it on the curve for now. I feel like it's in a good spot, but this one's, I'm less certain of where it is. And that's kind of hard to map with this kind of point notation. Scorched Earth. It's a panic button. Destroys everything on the field and hurts people in the field. No, it destroys like everything on the board, hurts people in the field, and hurts the user. Hard to use. The problem I had with this is you can just kind of use it in your last turn, and getting damage isn't a problem because it's your last turn. You weren't going to do anything anyway. So that's why I added the armor thing. That might end up not being enough. So right now, I'm going to put that because it's really powerful and kind of hard to use, but still might end up being really powerful. I'm going to put that there. That's where I feel Scorched Earth is. Alright, Explosives. New card for the Saboteur, because he lost another card. When played from home, damage up to 2 constructs or a player in the field. When played from field, damage up to 2 constructs or 1 player. It's kind of like fire, except it's rare. And it's more towards getting rid of constructs. Again, this was made because of Barricade. And because of this engineer. I'm sorry, the soldier. putting around a lot of constructs. This one, I think it's going to be... This one's hard to use, because it is a rare, but it could be pretty powerful. I'll put that around there-ish. Health kit. Health kit's really powerful. But it's not that hard to use. I think this one's around here right now. Health kit might end up being too powerful, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. Reflect. I toned that down. That's a new solid, again, a solid card. I'm going to put that around Sabotage. Because now you can counter pretty much anything, but you can't counter unblockables. So, there's that. Reveal and discard. This one, knowing what's in your opponent's hand isn't, oops, as big of a deal as you would think. This one's kind of over here. It's kind of hard to use. I don't know where to put this, because I feel like making him discard 2 cards is way too powerful, but 1 card is kind of like, at this point. So yeah, that one I don't feel is powerful enough. And Teardown, C for common. It's alright. This one's also kind of below the curve. So yeah, you can see here, I have 2 cards that I think are below the curve with the Saboteur. I think the Saboteur is a weaker character right now. He doesn't have those really big options some of the other guys have, and I might end up reworking some of this stuff. I might just totally get rid of Reveal and Discard. Because before that was a solid ability, but the players just didn't have as many good options. And now that there's kind of already power creep in my design, because I want players to have good solid options. Now he's now Reveal and Discard isn't as big of a thing. So it's down there. And yeah, Teardown's alright. But I just feel kind of about it. Boom. Open, alright, let's go over the Soldier. Soldier. There we go. Paint. Alright. Soldier. Body armor. Body armor is very powerful, but it's hard to use. So this one might end up being, like here. That's what I think is. I think it's actually, at this point, it might be a little too hard to use. Might also, these are more uncertain about, these are untested characters. But yeah, that's where I feel body armor is, because it's really powerful. King, Field Camp. This one's also really powerful. Kind of hard to use. I'm going to put this one around here, because you have that risk of being in the field. Trenches. This one's more down here, because it's kind of like Barricade in that it's kind of hard to get rid of, but it also might not be as hard to get rid of now since they put in so much removal. As they that's a card game term, just getting rid of things on the field. Pretty self-explanatory term, but yeah. So that one's again, a lot of these I don't totally know yet. All right, Jack, machine gun. This one hurts, but it's hard to use. I'm gonna put this up here because it just hits a lot of players, but it can't be unblockable. So, all right, camouflage. Equip to a player during play phase. Equip player resolves their cards if they were at home. I like this one. Whoops. Around here. Ish. because I could still, with how resolving cards works out, which I'll have to get into in my next journal, that could still not be the greatest thing. That's why I put it on an uncommon, but it's still nice, and it's still an equipment you can use for body armor. Alright, additional resources. Equipped to a player. During draw phase, equipped player draws 2 cards. Really good. I like this. But you can't really use it in the field. I'm going to put this around here. And more around here. I think it's pretty decently on the curve. Reactive positioning. This is a weaker card, but it's not that hard to use because it's a common. So I'm just going to put it down there. It's still nice to know what your opponent's doing, but compared to all the other things you could do, that's still a weaker card. That actually might end up being too weak. Again, I don't know where these things are. So we'll save that. And then finally, going over the commando. Now, these aren't standardized completely because you might end up seeing... Let me see if I can open this up. Boom, boom. Where is the folder? There it is. Like, that's the engineer. And this is the saboteur. Actually, I can just go here. Like you can see, I put things further back for the engineer than I did for the saboteur. Only really think of these things in relation to themselves because I have a hard time viewing these things at the same time right now. Although I do agree with this huge spread for the soldier compared to the closer cards for the engineer. So that stuff you can see in relation to each other, but some of this stuff not so much. Alright, done going over that. Let's close that. So, commando. Hopefully I could standardize that eventually. Once I figure out how I want to do it better. Where is it? There it is. Okay, demolish. This one, oops. This one's weaker because it kind of runs into teardown, but then it also has the draw 3 cards. So I'm gonna put that around there. Also, the commando card should be generally considered more difficult to use because he's in the field. Alright, block, easy to use, really powerful. This might actually end up being around here. But that might not be the worst thing in the world. Because there's only one of them. Unload. Oops. Unload should definitely be around here. Getting rid of 3 cannonballs is a big deal. Yeah, it's just a big deal. Phone help. Alright, so we knew that the old load up was really powerful. And so we know that this is really going to be really powerful too. But again, this is hard to use. It's a rare, and it's on the commando who's always in the field. Kidnap. This one I don't know. This one's like really uncertain. Pulling somebody into the field could be a huge deal, and it could also not be a huge deal. This one I'm going to put around here for now. Power up. Drawing 2 cards is pretty nice, but you're using your play for that, so I don't know. This one's like around here right now. I might end up making it draw 3 cards, but then that could end up stepping toes on demolish, but then I might end up making demolish draw your whole deck, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. And then finally, refresh. Refresh I actually really like. And it's not that hard to use, but you are in the field, so I'm going to put it around here. So that's where I feel these things are right now. And I'm going to use this idea of the curve to balance things out. My videos keep on getting gradually longer and longer. Like I said, I have gradually more and more stuff to go over. Alright, hopefully this all made sense, and I'll see you guys around. Goodbye.